Cancer. There is a sentence that has been forming in someone's mind for longer than they have been admitting to themselves. The sentence has a particular shape. It is the shape of a confession that has not yet found its conditions for being spoken. They have rehearsed it in fragments, in moments when they are alone. They have come close to saying it in conversations that took unexpected turns toward the personal. They have written versions of it that they did not send. The sentence has been forming for some time, and the forming has reached a stage where the sentence is essentially complete. It is now waiting for the right moment to be released into the world. The right moment is approaching. I want to walk you through what is happening in the person who is carrying this sentence, because the carrying is the heart of what I am bringing through. And the carrying is more interesting than any prediction of when the sentence will eventually be spoken. The person carrying this sentence is in a particular kind of state right now. They are aware that they are carrying it. They are also aware that they are not yet ready to speak it. The simultaneous awareness is producing a kind of internal pressure that is unfamiliar to them, because they have not previously been in a situation where they have wanted to say something this significant. The pressure is not unpleasant exactly. It is more like the pressure of having something important to share and not yet being able to share it. People who have been in this state before recognize it. It is the state of being on the verge of an articulation that will change something significant once it is articulated. I want to describe how this person arrived at the sentence, because the arrival itself is meaningful. They did not start out intending to want to marry anyone or to want forever with anyone. They did not enter into the connection with you with that orientation. They were at the start more open about possibilities than committed to any particular one. Something has happened over the period they have been engaged with you that has shifted their orientation. The shift was not a single moment, it was an accumulation. They noticed things about you that they had not initially noticed. They observed how you handled situations and admired what they observed. They found themselves thinking about you in moments when they had no obvious reason to be thinking about you. They began to imagine, almost without meaning to, futures that included you and them. The imagining was tentative at first. Then it became more elaborate. Then it became a kind of background context that informed their thinking even when they were not consciously focused on you. This is how serious commitments form in the natural order of things. Not through dramatic decisions, but through the gradual accumulation of attention until the attention itself has shifted shape. The shape of their attention has now shifted. You are no longer one possibility among others in their mind. You are the specific person they want to share their continuing life with. The specificity is what is producing the sentence that is forming. The sentence is the articulation of the specificity. Once the sentence is spoken, the specificity will be on the table and the relationship will move into a different phase. They know this. They are preparing for this. They are also slightly afraid of it, in the way that people are slightly afraid of speaking truths that will change things. The fear is not a sign that the truth is wrong. It is a sign that the truth is significant. Significant truths, when spoken, have effects. The fear is the appropriate response to the impending effect. I want to address why they have not yet spoken the sentence, because the not yet is part of what is happening, and you deserve to understand why the conversation has not occurred. There are several reasons operating together. The first is timing. They are aware that conversations of this magnitude need to occur in the right context, a specific kind of moment. Not in the middle of a busy day, not in passing, not as a casual remark that risks being underweighted. They are looking for and partially constructing a context in which the sentence can land with the weight it deserves. The looking and constructing takes time. they have not yet found or made the right moment. The second reason is uncertainty about how it will be received, not because they doubt your feelings for them. They have a fairly accurate read on your feelings, although they are not fully certain. The uncertainty is more about whether you are ready to receive a declaration of this magnitude. They do not want to declare prematurely in a way that puts pressure on you before you are ready to engage with the level of commitment they are proposing. They are paying attention to where you are in your own readiness. They are calibrating their timing to yours. This is a sign of their care for you. They are not making this about themselves. They are paying attention to what would serve the relationship, which includes serving your readiness as well as their own. The third reason is that they are still, in some respects, processing the magnitude of their own conclusion. Wanting forever with someone is a significant inner conclusion. It involves rearranging a lot of internal architecture. They have been letting the rearrangement complete in their interior life before externalizing the conclusion. The completion of the inner rearrangement is what makes the eventual external articulation sustainable. If they spoke the sentence before their internal rearrangement was complete, they would be speaking from a place that did not yet have the full weight of the conclusion behind it. The waiting is to allow the full weight to develop. I want to share something specific about how their feelings for you have been organized. Their love for you has a particular character. It is not the kind of love that operates on intensity. It is the kind that operates on depth. The intensity in their previous loves, if there were previous loves, may have been higher, but the depth is greater here. They love you in a way that has incorporated knowledge of who you actually are rather than just a response to what you initially appeared to be. The incorporation is what makes the love feel more substantial to them than previous loves they may have felt. They are not going to lose interest. The depth that has formed is not the kind that fades. It is the kind that becomes the foundation of a continuing existence. They sense this about their own feelings. The sensing is part of why they are formulating sentences about forever rather than sentences about exclusivity or seriousness in lesser forms. I want to take a moment to address you because the message is about them, but the response to the message is yours. And your response involves your own interior. There may be many feelings arising in you as you receive this. Some of those feelings may be uncomplicated joy. Some may be more complex. There may be a part of you that has been hoping to hear something like this and is moved to hear that it is forming. There may be another part that is uncertain, perhaps because your own readiness is not as advanced as theirs, perhaps because you have hesitations of your own that have not yet been resolved. All of these responses are valid. You are not obligated to feel any particular way. You are also not obligated to be ready to receive what they are preparing to offer, just because they are preparing to offer it. Their readiness does not require yours. Your readiness is its own thing with its own timeline. I want to address the question of what to do with the information that this sentence is forming on their side. The temptation may be to want to accelerate the conversation, to ask them what they are thinking, to draw out the declaration before they are ready to make it. I would gently suggest against this. The timing they are working with is not arbitrary. It includes considerations that are relevant to the success of the eventual articulation. If you accelerate the conversation prematurely, you may produce a version of the declaration that does not have the weight or the conditions that would have allowed it to land properly. Allow them to take their time. The taking time is part of how they are showing care for the moment. Trust the care. Another temptation may be to indicate to them, in some way that you are aware of what is forming. You have not been told directly, so you do not have, in the strict sense, knowledge of what is forming. You have an intuition, perhaps strengthened by what I am sharing, but the intuition is not the same as having been told. If you act on the intuition by signaling that you know, you may complicate their process. Their process needs to unfold on their own terms. You can hold what you know quietly without performing, not knowing, but also without flagging that you know. The holding is a form of respect for their pace. This is Cancer Tarot, and I want to share a particular insight about how relationships of the kind you are in tend to develop, because I think the framing will help you orient. Relationships that move towards serious commitment do not always move at synchronized paces on both sides. One party usually arrives at certain conclusions before the other. The earlier arriving party then waits, more or less patiently, for the other to catch up. The catching up is a normal feature of these relationships. It does not indicate any flaw in the connection. It just reflects that two distinct people are processing the same situation through their distinct interiors at different rates. In your relationship, this person has arrived at the conclusion of wanting forever with you somewhat earlier than you have arrived at the corresponding conclusion. This is not a problem. It is a feature of how it is unfolding. You will, in time, arrive at your own version of the conclusion. They are willing to wait for that arrival. The waiting is their gift to you. Receive the gift by taking the time you need. I want to address something about your own readiness, because I sense that the question of your readiness is one of the more important elements of this situation. You may not yet feel fully ready to consider forever. The not feeling fully ready is appropriate. Forever is a substantial concept. It requires some maturation of your own sense of what you want, who you are, what kind of life you envision yourself living. You have been doing that maturation. The work is ongoing. As you continue the work, your readiness will develop. There may come a moment, perhaps in the coming weeks or months, when you find yourself thinking about forever with this person in a way that feels more grounded than it would have felt earlier. That moment is your own arrival at the conclusion they have already arrived at. When that moment occurs, the relationship will be ready to move into its next phase. You can trust that the moment will come in its own time. I want to share something about what kind of life is being implicitly proposed in their formulation of the sentence. When they think about forever with you, they are thinking about specific things. They are thinking about waking up next to you regularly. They are thinking about coordinating major decisions with you. They're thinking about being a witness to your continuing development and being witnessed by you in their continuing development. They are thinking about the dailiness of long partnership with all its texture, including the hard days as well as the easy ones. They are not thinking about a fantasy. They are thinking about a real life with real elements that they have actually considered in some specificity. The realism of their thinking is one of the things that makes the formulation of the sentence sustainable. They are not declaring something they have not actually considered. They have considered it. The considering has produced the conviction. I want to mention something about how this person handles the potential difficulty of long partnership, because the handling matters. They are not entering into this with the assumption that it will always be easy. They are entering into it with the assumption that it will sometimes be difficult, and that they want to be the person who is in the partnership during the difficult parts as well as the easy ones. This is a different kind of commitment than the kind that is built on the assumption of continuous ease. The assumption of continuous ease produces commitments that fail when ease is not present. The assumption of mixed difficulty produces commitments that hold through whatever conditions arise. Their commitment is of the second kind. They are not promising you only good days. They are promising you their presence through whatever days come. This is the more substantial form of forever. It is the form that actually holds. I want to address the period between now and when the sentence is eventually spoken, because I think the period itself has its own meaning. During this period, you are being given the gift of operating with the implicit knowledge of what is approaching without yet having to formally engage with it. The implicit knowledge is a form of preparation. It allows you to consider without pressure what your own response to the formal articulation will be. By the time the articulation occurs, you will have done some preparatory thinking, even if you have not consciously framed it as such. The preparatory thinking will help your response, when it is required, to be grounded and authentic. The period is for this kind of preparation. Use it well. I want to mention something about how you might use the period to prepare. You can think about what forever looks like to you. Not in detail, because details are usually wrong, but in general shape. What kind of daily life do you want over the long term? What kind of partnership do you find sustainable? What are the dimensions of life that matter most to you, that you want shared? And what are the dimensions that matter most that you want to retain for yourself? The thinking does not need to produce final answers. It just needs to produce some clarity that you can bring to the eventual conversation. The clarity will allow you to respond to their proposal with substance, with specifics, with your own articulation of what you want. Their proposal will be the first articulation. Your response will be the second. Together, the two articulations will form the basis of the agreement that the relationship moves into. This is Cancer Tarot. And I want to take a moment to describe the texture of the eventual conversation, because I think the description will help you receive it well when it occurs. The conversation will not be entirely scripted on their side. They will have rehearsed elements, but they will also have moments of improvisation, particularly as your responses come into the conversation and require them to engage in the moment. The improvisation may produce some imperfection in the delivery. Do not interpret the imperfection as lack of preparation. They have prepared extensively. The imperfection is the natural result of speaking from feeling rather than from a memorized script. The speaking from feeling is what makes the conversation real. Memorized declarations have their own appeal, but they are less authentic than declarations that emerge from actual emotional presence. The conversation you receive will be authentic. It will be moving precisely because it is not perfectly polished. The slight roughness of the edges is the proof of its sincerity. I want to share an orientation for how to respond when the conversation occurs. You do not have to give a complete response in the moment. You can receive the declaration first. You can ask for time to fully respond if you need it. You can offer a partial response in the moment and follow it with a fuller response later. None of these is wrong. What matters is that your response, when it eventually comes in its full form, is honest. If you are ready to match their commitment, say so honestly. If you need more time before matching it, say that honestly. If you have specific questions or considerations, raise them honestly. The relationship is going to be built on the honesty you bring to this conversation, more than on any specific words you say. The honesty is the foundation. The specific words are decorations on the foundation. Make sure the foundation is sound. I want to mention something about the time horizon of moving from the conversation to actual marriage, if that becomes the direction. The conversation is the threshold of a process. The process from threshold to marriage takes time. Both of you will need to integrate what the conversation establishes. You will need to talk about practical matters. You will need to engage with each other's people more thoroughly. You will need to make decisions about the form the eventual marriage takes, including timing, location, structure. None of this is rushed. You will arrive at marriage in your own time, after the conversation has had its full effect. The conversation is not the marriage. The conversation is the announcement of intent. The marriage is the eventual culmination. I want to address a possible concern. There may be a part of you that wonders whether to trust this, whether someone could really be forming a sentence about forever for you, given everything that has come before, given the disappointments you may have experienced in love, given the difficulty of believing that this kind of declaration could actually be addressed to you. I understand the wondering. The wondering is a reasonable response to a history that has included some pain, but I want to gently address it. The declaration that is forming is real. The person on the other side of this connection is not running an elaborate performance. They are not deceiving themselves about their own feelings. They have actually arrived at the conclusion they have arrived at. The conclusion is yours, in the sense that you are the recipient of it. You can trust this, even if trusting it requires you to update some of your previous expectations about love. The updating is what allows the receiving. The receiving is what allows the relationship to move into its next phase. I want to share a particular reassurance. You do not have to be perfect to be the person someone wants to marry. You do not have to be without flaws, without histories, without complications. The person who wants to marry you has chosen you with full awareness of who you actually are. They are not in love with an idealized version. They are in love with the actual you, with all your particularity, including the parts you have sometimes wished were different. They have integrated those parts into their picture of you, and the integrated picture is what they are committing to. You can stop trying to be a more polished version of yourself for their sake. They want the unpolished version. The unpolished version is what they have fallen for. I want to mention something about the period after the conversation occurs because I sense it will be useful. After the declaration has been made, you will likely experience some period of integration during which you adjust to having received it. This period may involve a kind of soft disorientation as you absorb what has been said and what it means for your continuing life. The disorientation is normal. Do not interpret it as evidence that you have responded incorrectly or that something is wrong. It is just the natural response to receiving a major declaration. The integration will complete on its own time. After integration, the relationship will feel more grounded than it did before because the implicit understanding will have become explicit, and explicit understandings are sturdier than implicit ones. You will move into a different phase of relating to each other, characterized by a kind of openness that was not previously possible because the foundational conversation had not yet occurred. I want to address something that may arise in you in the period before the conversation. You may, at some moments, wish that the conversation would happen sooner. You may, at other moments, find yourself nervous about the conversation occurring at all. Both are normal. The wishing it sooner is the natural impatience of someone aware that something significant is approaching. The nervousness is the natural anticipation of a moment that will require your full presence. Both can coexist. Neither is a sign of anything wrong with you or with the relationship. They are simply features of being in the period of waiting for an important moment that has not yet arrived. I want to take a moment to honor the fact that you are loved, not just liked, not just enjoyed. Loved in the sense that someone has examined the entirety of who you are, found the entirety good, and decided that they want to share their continuing life with you. This is what is being declared in the sentence that is forming. The declaration is significant because it is the verbal expression of an inner conclusion that has actually been reached. You are loved at a level that warrants this declaration. The level may be deeper than you have allowed yourself to believe. Allow yourself to believe it. The believing is part of how you receive what is coming. People who do not believe themselves to be loved often deflect declarations of love when they arrive, in subtle ways that diminish the impact of the declarations. Do not deflect. Receive what is being offered. You are worth marrying. You are worth forever. These are not flattering things I am saying. They are simply observations about the underlying situation. The person who is forming the sentence about forever is not making a mistake. They are arriving at an accurate conclusion. The accurate conclusion is that you are worth what they are preparing to offer. You can stop questioning whether you are worth it. You are. The worth is structural, based on who you have become through everything you have lived. The becoming has produced a person who can be the recipient of forever. Receive the recognition. Here on Cancer Tarot, the closing emphasis I want to leave with you is this. The sentence is forming. The conversation is approaching. The relationship is moving toward the kind of articulation that changes its phase. You do not have to do anything specific to make this happen. Your job is to continue being the person you have been with the full presence you have been bringing. The unfolding is happening on its own. Your only contribution is to remain present and available for it. The presence and availability are sufficient. They are what produced the situation in the first place. They are what will allow the situation to continue developing in your favor. When the conversation occurs, receive it. Allow yourself to be moved. Respond honestly in whatever measure of completeness is available to you in the moment. Take additional time if you need it. Trust the relationship to hold your honest response, including its complexity. The relationship is sturdy enough to hold complexity. It has been built to hold it. Your response, in whatever form it takes, will be received with the same care that the declaration is being prepared with. The care goes both ways. You can rely on it. You are about to be told something that will be one of the most meaningful things anyone has ever said to you. The telling is being prepared. The preparation is careful. The eventual delivery will be authentic, slightly imperfect in form, but full in feeling. Receive it with the openness it deserves. Allow it to land. Allow yourself to be the person who is being addressed. The address is correct. You are the right recipient. The sentence has your name on it in a way that is more specific than you may currently realize. The specificity will become apparent when the sentence is spoken. Until then, hold the implicit knowledge gently, do your own preparatory thinking, and trust that the moment will arrive in its right time. The someone who wants forever with you has done their work. They have arrived at their conclusion through real consideration. They will speak when they are ready. You will respond when you are ready. Together, the two responses will form the basis of the next phase of your shared life. The shared life is real. The shared life is good. The shared life is being prepared for both of you. Walk into it when the conversation opens its door with the calm certainty of someone who knows that what is being offered is genuine, that they are worth it, and that the love that has produced the offer is real. The love is real. The forever is real. The marriage that may follow in its own time will be real. Receive what is approaching. It is yours.